So your creations are so beautiful because you do incorporate, well, flower in the sense of cannabis also, but flower and flowers. Could you give us some, maybe just some anecdotes of what you have done for clients? What was the most fun thing that you've done?
Absolutely. And Ophelia, I also wanted to mention too, knowing you has been huge for me. It's knowing you has opened up all these opportunities and all of these people. And to your point about meeting people who are most like you and understand your heritage and background. And I think that's also why ACE and Potluck Club and Mogu Magu work so well, because in our having conversations with each other and actually using cannabis and psychedelics, it opens up our minds and it opens up their conversations and our heart and all of these things that when I get together with other AAPIs in cannabis and we start getting high, we start talking, what happens and what flows from that is that we realize a lot of these intergenerational traumas and issues, and using psychedelics to help that has been absolutely instrumental. But through my work with Fruit and Flower, I write a newsletter called Fruit and Flower Unfurled. And so the unfurled part is sort of the result of what happens when using, from my own personal experimentation with cannabis and psychedelics and the thoughts that have come out of it. I've created these beautiful, stunning desserts. And I started doing baking with chickens because I wanted to teach people about eggs and chickens. And then that morphed into culinary cannabis because people wanted to know how to cook and bake with cannabis. And so now I write recipes that are very specifically written out and dosed as precisely as I can to 5 milligrams per serving. Because what I found when I was researching, how to cook and bake with cannabis at home, and when I was learning, it was very confusing. It was very frustrating. And the biggest concern that I had, that I think many other people might have, is how much flour do I use? How much do I dose? And our big fear of wanting to step in and try something new is I don't want to have that bad experience with the edible and that bad experience with the pot brownie that got me messed up for days. And so teaching people how to do that is really important. And I think as psychedelics are becoming much more popular, as psychedelics are becoming decriminalized and legalized across states, just like cannabis, knowing your dose, knowing how much to take for therapeutic uses is incredibly important. And it's not like, we're going and doing huge bong hits, or it's the equivalent of like a beer bong. Like sometimes you don't need that much. And so that's really where Fruit and Flower came from, was using these really beautiful food and recipes and desserts to teach and inspire people how to experiment and try these different things and substances, so that in their food, so that it's presented in this really beautiful way. It's not a pill, it's not a capsule. It's how to choose your cannabis drinks. I just dropped an entire guide for this is Muffin, an entire guide for how to choose your cannabis drinks. And koan is absolutely included in that because it's also new. So that is Fruit and Flower Unfurled happens very much in part thanks to you, Ophelia, and introducing me to this beautiful community.